Greetings, booktubers. Welcome back to Grammaticus Books. Welcome to an edition of Grammaticus Books, the first Ambuary review that we're going to do here in January. Ambuary, the reading event created by Michael K. Vaughan, where you read books written by Roger Zelazny during the month of January. I almost called it Ambuary, where you focus on the Chronicles of Amber. But you're not restricted to the Chronicles of Amber. You can read anything written by Roger Zelazny. And that's what we're doing here today. We're going to go over The Dream Master by Roger Zelazny, published in 1966, and answer the question here by the end of the video. Is this a dream of a book, or is it a nightmare of a book? Or is it a little bit of both? And I think we're going to be able to give a decisive answer to that question here by the end of this video. But The Dream Master, published in 1966, it was an expanded novella based off a short story written by Roger Zelazny in 1965 called He Who Shapes. And this actually won Zelazny the Nebula Award in 1966 for Best Novella of the Year, science fiction-wise. And it is an excellent science fiction novel in many respects, but it does have some flaws. So what is this book about? Well, I'm going to go ahead and read you the back blurb, and then I'll give you a little bit more of a rundown on the main plot going on here in this novella. And there will be some spoilers, but they're going to be only minor spoilers, nothing major. So the back blurb to The Dream Master. The last really unexplored frontier of knowledge may well prove to be the human mind. The Dream Master is the novel of that farther frontier, of a 21st century invention which enabled a psychology engineer to actually enter a man's mind, to experience his thoughts, to live with him, his dreams, and to redirect and control those soaring universe-creating visions, which are the essence of all thinking. And this is most definitely a new wave science fiction book being written here by Roger Zelazny in 1966. And that's exactly what it is. It's the 21st century, and his main character, who is Charles Render, is a psychologist who is also what is called a shaper. And a shaper is a person who uses this advanced technology in order to enter into his patients' minds so that he can use their dreams and shape their dreams in order to cure their psychoses. And he is approached during the book by another psychologist by the name of Eileen Shallot. And she wants to become a shaper, and she wants Charles Render to teach her how to be a shaper. But she has a problem. She was born blind at birth. She's congenitally blind. So she doesn't have the library of imagery in order to go in and construct imagery in a person's dream in order to help her patients, nor does she have the proper library of imagery in her head in order to interpret what she's seeing inside of their dreams. And so she needs Charles Render to teach her how to see via this machine by having her go into his dreams via this machine so that he can educate her on how to build up this library so that she can become a shaper. But there's extreme dangers that are associated with this of overwhelming her with the imagery. And there's also dangers to Charles Render where he could become subsumed with her mind as she wants to draw everything out of him. And Charles Render is warned of these dangers by his compatriots, but he proceeds anyway. And that is the main plot of the book. The other character in this book that stands out, there are numerous characters that come in and out of here, but they're very forgettable. But there's one other character that's very memorable, and that is Eileen Shallot's seeing eye dog, who's named Sigmund, which is a tip of the hat to Sigmund Freud because this is the Dream Master. And Sigmund has been genetically engineered to have super intelligence for a dog, not the human level, but he's far above what a normal dog is. He's a German Shepherd as well. And he's also had his throat and his mouth manipulated, genetically engineered so that he can speak English. And so Sigmund is he's a super effective working dog and seeing eye dog for Eileen Shallot. But he's kind of an ass as well because he steals her self-driving car, and he likes to take this self-driving car and take it out to the local park. And the self-driving car that's created here by Roger Zelazny, it's actually a stupendous piece of SF writing because he perfectly describes a self-driving Tesla in 1966. It's electric. It has an auto start feature on it. It has biometric controls to get in and out of the car. It uses radar and computers to drive. It has a GPS navigation system that you can input the latitude and longitude in order to go to your destinations. It is perfectly the perfect description of a Tesla here back in 1966, and I did really enjoy that. But Sigmund is kind of an ass. He steals the car from Eileen Shallot periodically. He gets into it, and since he knows the latitude and longitude of a local park, he plugs that into the car, and he drives the car on joyrides to the park. And at the park, he gets out And he goes out and he finds other dogs in the park, normal dogs, and then he uses his superior intelligence in order to play mind games and mess with these normal dogs in the park. Yes, he's a bit of an ass as a dog, and he's by far and away one of the most memorable characters in here. His character will stick with you long after you've forgotten a lot of the rest of this book. One of the other good things about this book, one of the other pros about it, is the writing by Roger Zelazny. There are passages in here where the descriptive imagery is just beautiful. It is some of the best writing that I've read in a very long time. At the start of the book, Charles Render is going into the dreams of one of his patients who is fixated on the city of Atlantis. And he goes in and he works the destruction of the city within this patient's dreams. And the description of the destruction of the city of Atlantis is just stunning. It's one of the best pieces of writing that I've read in a long time. Unfortunately, those pros in this book aren't enough to overcome its flaws, in my opinion. And this book does have flaws. It was based off of a short story from 1965. And when he expanded it into this 155 pages for the novella, it got too big. It lost its direction. I think it probably was much better as a short story. I have not read the short story version of it, but this 155 page version of it tends to ramble. It becomes a little directionless in parts. The overarching plot of it tends to not be able to hold the story together. You have a lot of subplots that seem to go nowhere, particularly one about suicides that are occurring more and more frequently in the 21st century due to the lack of challenges that people face in this very advanced society. And it all just seems sort of shoehorned in. And at the end of the day, there isn't enough of a cohesive plot to hold these characters together and keep the direction going in order to keep your interest in it. Unless all you're looking to get out of this is just sort of a rambling template and test bed for new wave science fiction that this book really seems to be, at least to me here, that Roger Zelazny puts out in 1966. So to answer the question, is this an excellent dream of a book, or is this a bit of a nightmare? And I think it tends more towards nightmare than dream, even though it won the Nebula Award for Best Novella in 1966. I would give it a 6, maybe a 6.5 out of 10. But if you've read it, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. Put it down in the comment section below. And with that, I'm going to wrap this one up and say take care, be safe, and I'll catch you guys next time.